Good evening, everyone, and welcome to All Things Brunswick. My name is Mary Stillwell, and my host, Todd, has a family emergency, so we just want you to know that we're thinking about you, Todd. Of course, we have TK with us tonight. We couldn't do anything without TK. And our guest tonight is a very special person to me. He is the mayor of my city and has done some wonderful things. Jeff Winecoff. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Mary, how are you? Good to be here.
It's great to have you. And the reason I think I asked you to come on is because I see all these great things happening with the dams, and I think they might be ahead of schedule.
Well, they are. They're way ahead of schedule. We got some good news at our last meeting. East Boiling Spinrg Lakes Road has been closed down for a while now, and we were told they will reopen that road late fall, early winter, which puts them about 14 months ahead of schedule.
Wow, 14 months?
So they're doing an incredible job. You see them in there clearing out the lake beds now, and it's because of the schedule they gave us is why we're in the lake beds cleaning them out. So we've been telling everybody, the 30 months that everybody was anticipating, don't hold it to it because these guys are doing a tremendous job.
That's wonderful. Wow. I think we're going to have lakes sooner than we planned.
Well, we will. There's still a lot of testing that goes on. We've got people asking about the main dam up there at Sanford, and their work contingents on testing. So when they do a pour or they do something, they have to test not once, but they have to test a few times. And if it fails, they've got to tear it back out and redo it again.
I
and
see.
All that's part of their contract to make sure the dams it is the quality that we're paying for.
Right. That's wonderful. Well, it's nice to know that you were choosy in who is doing our dams. Apparently, you did a good job choosing.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is you want to have a team in there that can get the job done, who has been recommended to do the job, and the work they do is quality. Because we don't want to have to go back there and do this again. We want it to be able to hold up for the future.
Exactly. And we all know we're going to have more hurricanes.
We are. There's more to come, and they're going to get more powerful. The good news is the dam's so far along right now, if we do get a storm, we shouldn't have any problems.
Really? So what they're doing is they are reinforcing it, so to speak, that it will be stronger than what we had.
It is all up to the current codes that we had to build back. There's no earth dam there anymore. It's everything that Dam Safety of North Carolina required us to do. So all that is being considered, and the upper dam, they're pretty much doing like punch list stuff on it now. It's pretty much complete, and they're working on Pine Lake right now and trying to get those other two dams finished.
Wonderful.
So,
gosh, very, very good news for our city.
It's very good for our city. We'll have water back in the lakes. They are going to actually fill the lakes. The company we have cutting the brush down, the trees down, will come back with a skimmer and skim all the debris up.
Really?
Yes,
I was going to ask you that.
That's part of the contract we signed with them. They'll skim all the debris back up, and then they'll drain it back down, and then they'll refill it again. Because they want to make sure and test it and make sure there's no problems with water, it holding water, there's no sinkholes or anything. And that's part of the contract, too. They identified where the sinkholes were, and we're going to make repairs to that. So when we had the dams back, everything should be good to go.
That's great. I remember the last time that we lost our water, we drained the big lake, we had sinkholes. So that's always a probability, isn't it?
It's always a probability, but the good thing was the engineer that was on board identified where the sinkholes were. So we knew exactly where the problems have been created in the past, and that's what they were going to address.
Right.
So, and when they go down and get the pores for the dam, it won't seep under the dam. So they're doing a class act job on this.
Great. So there's no issue with like Pine Lake or North Lake as far as sinkholes?
Right now, cross your fingers, no.
But that could happen.
I mean, anything can happen.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
I
anything can
know.
happen at any time. You address the issues that you know of,
Right.
but there always
Yeah.
can be other issues that come up.
Yeah. Well, that is just absolutely wonderful.
Well, and the best part is we're within budget.
I
There's
know.
no knock on wood big punch list items or change orders that we need to do, which is absolutely wonderful.
Well, tell me, Jeff, I think that with it being ahead of schedule, wouldn't that be also under budget?
Well, their whole thing is it's what's keeping it under budget. Really, is the materials they've used. They haven't used quite enough materials that they budgeted for, so we're saving a little bit money there. They've had to use a little bit more dirt on the upper lake, which makes a wash of it. But the whole idea of them getting through early, it just means they make more money.
Okay.
So that's the whole idea of it. If they can get done early, it's a benefit for us, but they make more money.
I see.
So
Okay.
yeah. I mean, less labor. So
Yeah.
but
for
you know,
sure.
if that's the way they do it and they can get us done a lot quicker, it's worth it.
Right. Now, over on Elton Lennon, okay, so once that is completed, do you have to rebuild that whole road?
That road will be rebuilt.
Yeah.
Yes, that's part of the whole process and part of the bid package was for that road to come back. So we have for emergency personnel because, you know, over on 50 Lakes and all that, the emergency personnel from that department comes across that for a lot of emergencies.
Yeah.
In the same way with our law enforcement, our police department, they have
Right.
to, it's just a quicker way for them to get to the other side of town.
Yep.
So that was one of the main reasons we actually wanted to get this work done because, you know, every second counts for somebody's life.
Oh, it does.
And for that road to be shut down as long as it's been shut down, we've got to get that open back up. The dams are just an extra reward for us. The lakes are extra reward. But getting that open for emergency personnel is
Right.
really high priority for
Yeah.
us.
Well, I think that one of the reasons that they put that fire station or that outlet of the fire station over on 50 Lakes was to service those people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
you know, yep, that's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. I miss driving over there, and there's nothing prettier than driving across the dam and looking at the big lake.
It
So,
is absolutely wonderful. When we took our tour down through there, we got to see all the stuff they were doing. And there was water back in the lakes, and you had that little vision of what it was going to look like when they're finished.
yep,
So, yeah.
wonderful. Now, how does this affect all of the homeowners on the lake that have docks and whatnot?
Well, we've been trying to work with FEMA because there's a process they put in place that they have to have it engineered because of water rise and the wakes and the floods and all that. And discussion I had, because I just recently went to Washington, D.C. with the American Flood Coalition to have discussion with FEMA because I met their acting director and their assistant director. And the discussion was, to me, it makes common sense that you go ahead and build the docks back right now while the lakes are dry. And then when they're impounded, you know what your water level is going to be. When there's water in the lakes and you go add stuff to water, water does rise.
Yes.
And one of the things I asked, I was like, explain to me the common sense part of it, why you want to wait till the lakes are filled before they can build their docks back. And the answer I got was they're worried about other people's docks when they wash away going into somebody else's dock. And my look to him and answer was, well, won't that happen anyway when the water's in there? So I came back with it, you know, with government. They have strange approaches to things they do. So the manager is going to Raleigh to meet with some of the FEMA people up there to get a clear answer from them. How do we need to proceed?
Right.
Because even the engineer has said that when they build the docks back, it will create less than 1% of any kind of water rise.
Okay.
So to me, that should allow them to go ahead and build their docks while there's no water in there.
Right.
So that's
And I
what we're
think
pushing.
that is what they want to do.
Well, that's what I want them to do too. To me, it's easier for them to do that.
Yes.
So, but yeah, we're trying to push that and get that where they can do that.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
but you know as well, when you deal with government, you go under some strange rules.
Well, I'm not going to say anything bad about FEMA, but let's face it.
I won't say nothing bad, but it's strange rules.
Yeah.
I mean, I think something that's less complicated and doesn't cost our residents money by hiring engineers to do something that was already
Right.
there in the past.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So now, what about 87, where the bridge is? Is everything going to be okay there, or do we need to do repairs?
Well, as
or-
far as we know, everything's okay. We've had discussions with North Carolina DOT about changing the plans they had, and I think all that's been approved, where it won't be a 4-lane going through there because, we are a city. And
Yes.
we want people to come through, but we're looking at more of a 3-lane. So when you do
Okay.
come through the city, you'll have turning lanes to be able to turn, but you still have that city atmosphere, not a highway atmosphere.
Oh, I like that.
So we've actually had that talk with them. We've actually had to talk with Sunny Point, and Sunny Point is going to back us on that plan.
Good.
So, and also we're looking at, if something happens to that bridge on 87, there's no way around it.
I know.
So there's a gravel road that goes all the way around at Upper Dam. We
Yep.
are applying for a grant to be able to pave that in case something happens to that bridge. We have an alternate route for people to be able to go to.
I think we need that. We have
So,
to look
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to plan ahead instead of
Right.
waiting for something to happen and then you're
Ooh.
behind.
Yeah.
So the staff at town has been absolutely wonderful. The manager, I mean, everybody has been on this wave we're on right now, where we're looking ahead of things instead of just having the blinders on and looking straight ahead.
Sure.
So we're looking at and trying to plan out for the future to see what we need to do and make things
That's
life a little bit
great.
easier.
Well, I know that when we've had even a large rainstorm, that bridge has a tendency to flood.
Yeah.
So, maybe new dams in place with proper spillways and whatnot. I mean, we won't have that issue.
When
but
when we get the dams done, we'll have a proper maintenance plan to be able to do what we need to do in case we have heavy rains and flooding issues that may arise. So we won't have no issues of all this flooding we've had in the past. But there's still areas in town that we're trying to address with grants to stop the flooding because
yeah.
even when we have heavy rains now, there's areas of the town that just floods around
oh,
people's
yeah.
homes.
And that has nothing to do with the lakes.
It has nothing to
So,
do, but
no.
we're working on trying to get the grants in to start doing a lot more work in that area.
That's great. I think one of the best things that the city ever did was to form a grants committee.
It is. They've done a tremendous job.
Yes.
And staff. I mean, I like looking all the time, and I was like, I found something, I'm sending it to you. So, but staff will go and run with it and take it on and make sure everything's going the way it should.
That's great.
So, yeah, the staff we have right now is outstanding. I mean, it really is.
Good.
So, yeah, it makes a difference when you have a team working on a goal.
Yes,
So,
it certainly does.
And we have that in place right now.
And a
so.
good leader.
Well, it takes a team to get anything done.
Well, sure.
So,
And
but-
I understand that. I always forever knew there's no I in team.
Yeah, that's
So-
it. You got to have that vision, and,
Yeah.
and you got to be able to work together to get anything done.
Mm-hmm.
Because you always hear people say, "Oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that." Well, you can't do nothing unless you work together.
Exactly.
So, and that's what my whole mission's been is working for what we need to work for, and that's our residents.
Yep. I do have a question, and we know that Florence did a lot of damage in our city, and Florence also flooded the golf club. And is that beyond repair?
No, it's not. We're looking at because we just bought that property where the old golf club
Right,
was,
and I knew that you had.
And
so.
we're going to look out how we can fortify that so we do not have any flooding there. We're looking at future plans for that. We're actually thinking about looking at an event center that will host any kind of activity that goes on. We've had thoughts maybe up to 175 people it hold,
Oh,
and
that's
be able to look at concerts or look at any kind of event. You know, we're getting ready to renovate the old police building for the senior center, so they'll have a place to come and they can eat meals and do activities.
Really?
Yes.
Is that what you're going to do with that building?
That's our plans of that. We just approved the engineer to go ahead and draw up the plans for that, to redo the kitchen, the bathrooms. We've met with the recreation director, and she wants to have them really an open floor plan. And then they're going to tear walls out and redo everything, and there'll be a portion of it for the library so they can grow too.
I was just going to say, you need something for
Yes.
the library to grow.
There's going to be a portion for that. We're redoing the bathrooms so they'll be ADA compliant. So, because if you're going into the library, you got to be able to have a bathroom available for the public.
Right.
So we're looking at all that, and the rec department will actually have somebody there, and they can oversee the library when people come in.
Oh, that's great. So the hours will be longer.
Yes.
Oh, I'm happy
Yes,
to hear
yes.
that.
And they'll have more room, so that's good. But we're looking at all that, ripping all the carpets up and taking walls out and redoing walls and ceilings and bathrooms and kitchens. And so that's
Yeah.
going to be that. Right now, there's a spot that they do the testing in for the dams, a big room. And when that's finished, we'll renovate that area too for the rec center.
Sure.
So, yeah, we're trying to get all this done and trying to work together with our contractors, because I've asked some of our contractors would they be willing to help, and I've had a few of them actually say yes, they would help us. So as long as we
Nice.
buy the materials, they
Yep.
would help us with it. So it's really a community effort working
Oh,
together
that's
to be able to get
wonderful.
things done.
So if you have the senior center at that building, okay, then what will go on at the
You'll
community
still have
center?
the kids there for their after school and their summer camps. We're looking at maybe if the gym may move over to their senior center in that one big room when it opens up. So we're looking at more areas because our city's growing, and the community center right now cannot handle everything that's going on there. So we're looking at more like satellite areas to be able to do things. Same way with like I said, the event center and the clubhouse, that they'll be able to do things in different areas of town
Right.
and actually have more room.
Yeah.
So
So the only thing that would be going on at the community center would be the children.
yeah, well, children, and there'll still be some adult activities there.
Okay.
But the seniors the rec director wanted that building really for the seniors, because we thought about it for the kids too, making that where the
Right,
after school and all that
right.
was. But the recreation director wanted it for the seniors, so we said okay.
Yeah. Well, I think that would be a nice place for the
So,
seniors.
but it'll give everybody different areas they can go to be able to do things. So we're looking at how we can really grow our city.
Wow, it is really growing.
I mean, it comes
A lot
fast.
of things happening in our city.
We've talked about, we've had the north end of the county grow, the south end of the county grow. So it's about time with these lakes coming back. I see the center part of this county growing.
Right.
So we just got to plan for it. And
Yeah.
like I said, I like being out in front of things, not waiting until after it happens.
Okay, we have a new fire station.
Yes.
Number 4.
Yes.
What is going to happen with the old building?
Right now, they own that, the fire department, because they're not part of the city.
Right.
But they own that building. They're going to keep that building, is what I was told by the chief. So they're going to do probably barbecues and sell Christmas trees or something maybe there. Their new fire department, we're waiting for a light to be installed there for them, for emergency light. They talked to Representative Miller about getting that, and he has been working on getting that for them. So that way, 87 gets busy sometimes, and if they have to get out, they'll have a light to be able to have emergency
Oh,
response.
and I thought about that. That
Yes.
would be tough.
Yes.
Especially if it were people coming into work or going home.
Right. So, like
Yeah.
I said, we like to try to be out in front of things. So,
Yeah.
that was in the process. I'm waiting for that to happen.
Wow.
So,
And that's kind of close to the other light that's at the end of Boiling Spinrg
it is, but
Road.
this light will only activate when they're coming out for emergency.
I
It won't be
see.
a steady light
Okay.
that changes, just for emergency only.
That's like the one in Southport.
Right.
Perfect.
Yes. Yes.
Perfect.
That way they can
Yeah.
get out on the road and not worry about traffic. There will be somebody.
And somebody mentioned because of all the building and everything on 50 Lakes Drive, that there was the probability that they might need a light there.
Well, we've asked about that with DOT, and so far we haven't got a response. The only thing I know that's on the plans to do is turn lanes. So
Okay.
that
Well, that would be
there'll
helpful.
several areas through there that we have areas of problems. So turn lanes were proposed, and I think that has been approved. So
Right.
we're waiting for all that work to start.
Yeah, because there are a lot of additional houses on
There's
50
a lot of
Lakes.
additional houses, and there's another proposal for more houses out through there. So we're waiting to see
Wow.
if that happens.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of changes coming. We just got to be ready, like I said.
yeah.
So, but
That's
yeah, we
great.
have asked for a light, and I think they did do a study. So we just haven't got lucky yet.
Yeah. Well, it hasn't been too bad, and turning lanes will help the whole city, especially right through the mid
Right.
part of it. You
Right.
know, that's difficult at times.
Yeah, and 87's been on the list for so many years now to be
know.
upgraded.
Yeah,
So we're hopefully with the Sunny Point joining our wishes to be able to upgrade this road, then hopefully something will be done sooner rather
right,
than
because
later.
they utilize 87 a lot.
Yeah,
too.
they do. There's a lot of traffic, and there's a new development which is being built right there on 87, close to 17, where all those new
Yes.
homes are coming.
Yes.
And they're either coming to Southport or they're going to 17. So if they're coming to
Right.
Southport, they're coming down 87, which is going to create even more traffic.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get things moving to be able to do what we need to do.
Now let me ask you a question, Jeff. If you were to talk to a developer about plans for our city, would the consideration for people such as first responders and teachers and whatnot be put into the mix, because these folks are having a real tough time to find a place to live?
We've actually had that discussion because whenever you have building going on, there's other causes and effect to it. There's effects to your police department, it's effects to your fire department, and all your services. So we've had that discussion about what happens when we have all this development and something else comes online. So there's been discussions about that, what we can do. We've been trying to look at, because there's been a lot of discussion about workforce housing.
Yeah.
So there's been a
And
whole
that's
lot of
exactly
discussion
what
like
I'm
that.
asking, because they can't afford these
Well,
rents.
you see all the prices going up, $400,000, $500,000 for homes, and nobody can afford them. So Boiling Spinrg Lakes is still an area that's affordable.
Yes.
And if we can work to be able to do something to help out some of the workforce, because you've got the schools, the teachers, the firemen, everybody, and anybody else who's in that industry can't afford a lot of money.
No.
So if we can look at how we can have a development for workforce housing and help out.
I think that would be
So-
awesome. And we have a lot of first responders that do not like to own property, they like to rent, because in their career path, they change areas. So, most of the first responders that I have talked with are looking for rents.
Yeah. And rental right now is going up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the prices,
Oh, my
because they
goodness.
know people can't afford houses, and rental prices have skyrocketed right now.
Yep.
So, and if we can get these interest rates back down, because they're so high right now, I think
I
they're right
know.
at a little bit under 7% right now. I think they are.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot going on that's affecting a lot of people.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And we need these folks. We've got to have our first responders.
well, if you have your first responders close by in your community, it usually works out better for
Oh,
you.
it sure does.
So.
And on that note, folks, we're going to take a break and pay a few bills. So please stay with us. We have Jeff Winecoff, Mayor of Boiling Spinrg Lakes. What a great place we all call home. From colorful sunsets to panoramic coastal views. The best attractions are its people, a community of friends and family. J.K. Summers, attorney at law, recognizes this fact and is proud of his work to protect their rights. Put your trust in him to prepare wills and trusts, real estate transactions, contract and LLC creations, and criminal, traffic, and civil matters. Visit oakislandlaw.com or call 910-253-5572. J.K. Summers, attorney at law.
Veteran Awareness sponsored by You Are Not Alone. Today's veteran homeless rate is approximately 19,750, and the numbers are declining because of the various veteran programs. If you or a veteran you know is homeless, please call 877-4AID-VET. This is a confidential and toll-free call. From this veteran to other veterans, please be there to help our brother and sister veterans. Again, the number is 1-877-424-3838. And thank you for your service.
Welcome back, everybody, to All Things Brunswick. Today we have with us the mayor of Boiling Spring Lakes, Jeff Winecoff, and he is filling us in on all the great things that are happening in our city. Thanks for joining us, Jeff.
You're welcome. I'm glad you had me back to come discuss some issues we've been having and the progress we've been making on our dams.
Yes. So tell me what is happening with sewer in our city.
Well, we approached it with our staff. We met with Brunswick County to be able to move forward. We have the plans in place. We just got to get pricing together. So we're looking at, especially around, since we just spent over $50 million on the lakes, the sewer systems that's failing around the lakes, to go ahead and start trying to do something around that area. We're going to split it up in phases and move forward on that. The lakes is one part of it, and then doing some other areas around the city and start doing that as phase one. We're going to try to get everything together so we can have the pricing. There's a lot of grants out there that we're trying to do, just like we did with the lakes and created the money so the taxpayers didn't have to pay anything. That's our whole goal and mission on this too.
That's great.
Is to look and see where we can find the money and bring the money in to get started.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's my understanding that a lot of people do have systems that are failing.
They are, and plus, Mary, there's quite a few areas that does not even have water too. When they ran water, the water was run to a certain point, and if it was a gravel road with not many houses, it didn't continue down those roads.
Yeah.
So we're looking at how we can really do water and sewer at the same time and give people these options to be able to do that, because, while you've got the big hole open for the sewer, if you can run water down through there, why not?
Really?
So we're trying to get that done too, because there's areas, to me, if you got fire hydrants close, it makes it easier for our responders to get down there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're looking at all the options we can to be able to help out our residents, because there's been a lot of inquiries about water too, just like sewer.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can work to do both at the same time, then it makes more sense to go ahead and do that.
Yes, absolutely. Huh. And if it were, not expensive and optional to get that, I know a lot of people that would go for the sewer because, as I said, I had a lady call me the other day and wanted to know who to call because their sewer system was, she remembered me from being on the board. And I'm thinking, oh, you poor thing. Yeah. So there are a lot that are failing.
There's quite a bit, especially, like I said, around the lakes, and we don't want to contaminate the lakes once we get them filled back up. So, like I said, it's needed, and we want to get started on so we can start getting these grants coming in. So we're pushing forward. The staff has, like I said, they've been doing an incredible job getting everything together, what we need to get together. They're having a meeting with the county to be able to move to the next step and see what we need to do, because we've got to make sure too the county has capacity to be able to hold everything that we're going to be producing. So we're working on those lines too to make sure everybody's in step with each other.
So you want the county to be in charge of the water and sewer in the city?
Well, we do not want to be in the water and sewer business.
Okay.
Absolutely not, because it's more manpower, and they have the capability to be able to do the job that we cannot do. So I don't want us to try to do something that's going to create more costs for our residents.
So, and how does the county feel about that?
Well, I think the county has no problem with taking that
Right.
on. I
They
mean,
prefer it.
they've been doing this for quite a long time, and they know what they're doing. So
Right.
I'd rather have their leadership on this than us try to do it.
Oh, that's wonderful. And so after that, if you are able to get grants and whatnot, what is the time frame, like an approximate, you think?
Well, I think this is going to be a long process, because anytime you do anything like this, it's not quick, it's not short. It takes time to do it and do it right.
Right.
So we're looking at years to be
Yeah.
able to do this. So, yeah.
You know, I remember when we got water, and I was amazed that we got it so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a long process, because we found that out over on Oak Island. You start all the planning process to get everything done, and then when it finally starts happening, then it runs pretty quick. It's just
Yeah.
that initial planning to get
Right,
everything done and get
yeah.
it started.
Well, and I think that sewer is different than water as well.
It is.
You know.
There can be a lot of problems with sewer, because
Right.
water is going to flow
Yeah.
through there, but sewer has to have the right grades and pump
Right.
stations, lift stations, and all that, and grinder pumps. They have to have all that to be able to perform.
Yeah.
So it's a different animal when you work with sewer.
Oh, for sure. So I understand that, okay, we own in BSL, the city owns some of the roads.
We do.
Do we still have roads that need paving?
We have quite a number of roads that need paving.
Okay.
One of the grants we're trying to get, the DSIP grant, will actually pave some of the roads, because we see some of these roads that are dirt that need to be paved as really a secondary travel road if something happens to the main road.
Yes.
And there's still gravel. We did Dalton, but that there's still more that needs to be done, connect everything to be able to have that one road to get out if something else
Right.
fails. So we're looking at, if we can get that grant to do that, we're looking at trying to do the road around the bridge, because that's a necessary
Yeah.
too in case something's happening. So there's different areas, and there's still a lot of roads that need to be paved. We're just trying to figure out, because we get $300,000 a year, and that's it.
I
And
know.
$300,000 doesn't go a long way.
Power bill money.
So we're looking at how we can try to apply for grants to be able to get more roads paved, because
Right.
everybody, to me, deserves to have a.
And
a paved
that
road.
cost, I'm sure, has gone up.
It has with these prices, inflation, gas prices, oil prices, all petroleum. The roads
Oh,
are
I know.
more expensive
Yeah.
to do. We've been looking at, because they used to do it every year, pave a road, or fix a road or something. But the time
Right.
you do something, the money's gone.
Yep.
So we're looking at every other year, where we can have more money to do more stuff, because the more you can do and give a contractor to do, the cheaper you get it.
Right.
So we're looking at that option, how we can do it. And plus the extra money that they charge, the $25 they charge, goes into that fund too. So we also, like I've told the manager, and we've had this discussion with council and the board, if you have areas that flood, it deteriorates your roads.
Yes, it does.
So we've got to address these before we put the money into the roads, because it's just a waste of money.
Exactly.
So we're looking at those areas too.
So this is your stormwater issue.
Yes.
And last week I had a gentleman from the county planning board on, and he stated that these ponds that they build in these developments are very helpful when it comes to stormwater. Now, I remember in our city where, and this was before I think ordinances were in place, where they went to a certain street and they cut all the trees down and plopped in 6 or 7 houses.
Yeah.
And that, in those areas right now, seem to be the problem areas.
There is, and we're trying to address a lot of these problems. So that's one of the things we're looking at. There's some issues that came along with a lot of stuff in the land that's in Boiling Spring Lakes. So we're looking how we can address that to make stormwater more effective. So that's the sort of things we're working on too.
Yeah.
So.
Now, you have, I should say we have, in Boiling Spring Lakes, the Nature Conservancy owns a lot of property.
A lot of property. I think what we were told, we just got a handout yesterday. It came about who owns what. State owns a lot of property in Boiling Spring Lakes, and the conservatories own a lot. I forget how many lots they own, but I almost think I heard somebody tell me it was close to 3,000 acres they own. So there's a lot of land that they do own. There's a lot of land the state owns. So we've had discussions with them about some certain things.
Now, with Nature Conservancy, okay, that's exactly what they are. They're
Right.
nature.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
They're going to maintain that property for that cause.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I know they do control burns.
Yes.
And they invest in the longleaf pines and whatnot. Now, what about the state? What are their intentions with the land that they own?
I have no idea what their intentions are. Really do not have any idea.
And how did they get that property?
Well, I found out even down the road I live on, they own property there. So I guess along the line they acquired property.
Is
But
because of taxes or what?
I do not know the story behind that.
Huh.
And the staff, when you look at things, don't really know the story because nobody's been there long enough to know how long and when it was acquired. So,
Well, see, now I didn't realize that. I mean, I knew, I guess in the back of my mind, that I knew the state had some property there, but I have lived in that city for 30 years.
but yeah, they have quite a bit.
And I didn't realize it was that much. And nobody has ever talked about how they obtained it.
But yeah, they own quite a bit too.
Wow.
So yes,
I guess I'd look into that.
yeah, we've looked into, because when a developer buys the land
Right.
and starts to build, well, we don't collect any taxes except for the land value until that property is sold.
Right.
So it can take up to 3 years for that.
Yep.
So we've been looking at the revenue that we actually lose by not being able to collect that. So there's a whole, we met with the tax administrator at one of our mayor meetings who handed us all handouts of what we're paying and the money that we're not getting from the taxes on that. And then there's also, I found out, when we have seniors who struggle, their taxes are cut back, so they don't have to pay a full amount, and because they really can't, and that's why all that is. But with all this land that's being bought up, it takes away from the revenue that we actually bring in,
Right.
or able to bring in, because they don't pay taxes on any of that.
I know. It was my understanding that in 1961, when the city was incorporated, there were a lot of lots that were purchased by particular people who said eventually they would come to this area to retire. So they would keep those lots and, build on them and whatnot. Well, some of them didn't perk. And in order to make them perk, it would have cost an additional $40,000, $50,000
Right.
to haul the dirt in. So they didn't want to do that. So they very quickly gave it to the Nature Conservancy.
Yes, yes, a lot of land.
And that is how they acquired a lot of their property.
Yep. There was a lot of land. We had that discussion. They're looking at buying more land too right now, or trying to
For
buy
what?
land to be able to put it in their conservatories. Nobody builds on it.
Oh, my.
So,
And buy it in our city?
yeah, yes,
Really?
yes. They were looking at that. There was a discussion. They had a meeting we went to and they were having discussions about that. So, but there were some they looked at and they could not buy it because they wanted too much money for it. So developers own it, and their plans are they want to go ahead and develop it.
Right.
So, but yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, there's a lot of land that has been conserved in the city.
Well, I guess there's not much that you can do about that.
No, there's
But
nothing.
I think the state-owned property, that would be something that you could probably question.
Well, I mean, a lot of it we got to look at, because if you keep losing land, then you keep losing tax value.
Yes.
And if you lose tax value, then it's got to be made up somewhere, because you got to maintain the services that you have to require to
Exactly.
maintain.
Yeah.
So, and our whole idea is to be able to grow our city and keep our taxes low, so we don't have to worry about raising them. And
Right.
that's been the whole plan as we work through things, get our fund balance back up where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Is to work through things, cut things we need to cut, and make sure we get our fund balance built back up, so we don't never have to raise taxes. And all that's possible. I mean, it's just smart planning, smart development, and working with your team to be able to get things done.
Right. And I think the grants are an excellent idea, because with your stormwater issues, the grants would be very helpful. And also with the project of the sewer and, and water to those who don't have it. So that was a very, very positive thing that happened to our city, was the grants committee.
Very, very positive. And the manager and myself had these discussions many times. You got to crawl before you can walk.
Yeah.
And we've been crawling, trying to get back in line so we can start walking again.
Yeah.
So we're trying to put the proper plans in place and move forward on things so we can have smart growth in the things that our city needs to be able to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Well, it's certainly, I think back, and we have grown so much in the time I've been there. I never ever thought that I would see all those homes on 50 Lakes. And of course, everywhere else, houses are plopping up everywhere.
There's building going on. I mean, the city is continuing to grow with homes. So, I mean, it's happening. We just got to be ready for it.
Yeah. Now, Jeff, what about the across the tracks towards Bolivia, Winnebago area, the ranchettes and whatnot? Is there building going on out there?
There's building going on everywhere.
I haven't been out there in a long time.
Yes. But there's everywhere you look around this county, it's just amazing how much growth is going on, how much building.
I know that we developed a lot over the tracks, so that's continuing to develop.
There's continued work going on through there. We had a bunch of dump trucks, which we thought were coming from the dam site. And we found out it wasn't coming from the dam site. They were coming from builders hauling in stuff and hauling stuff out across the tracks.
Ooh.
So it really wasn't from them, because we've told to make sure if they bring trucks in, they go out the back way through Fudge Creek.
Yeah.
So they don't have to come through the detour. So we couldn't figure out exactly where until we followed them back where they were working. So it wasn't the people doing the dams. It was actually construction going on in the city.
Well, you just never know, do you?
No, you really don't, because I kept seeing the trucks coming down the detour, and I'm like, they should not be here. So, but yeah, it was coming from development, so it wasn't having anything to do with the dams.
So they are building a lot out there.
They're building everywhere.
Are there ranchettes still out there available for sale?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a nice little development getting ready to happen right there on Dayton Road. So I've been watching them develop and getting it cleared, and
Really?
so yeah. I mean, it's a little bit, and then there's some that will not get developed down there because the conservatory owns all that.
Yeah.
So
I knew that.
yeah.
Now, between 50 Lakes and, say, past the high school, maybe down to the next light. Now, there's a lot of property along the way. Is that deemed commercial?
Down 87 is commercial.
Okay.
So both direction is commercial down that way.
All right.
So, yes.
And that is owned by the city?
That is owned by not the city, but people own that property.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
There's just been a
that's
parcel
right.
of it. Parcel
Yes.
of it's just been sold. Somebody bought it.
Right.
So, and it's close to where the thrift store and all that land in there. That just, the sale sign was up for that land.
Oh,
Somebody's just
yeah.
bought that.
Okay.
So people are starting to see what we're doing in the
Yeah.
lakes, and they're trying to get
So they're
prepared.
going to start building along that corridor.
So,
Huh. Well, that's interesting. Yeah.
so.
And then the opposite direction as well.
Well, the plans are, it's. I think people are going to see what's happening, and they'll start developing a little bit. We've got to have some light commercial come in to be able to offset residential taxes, because you always need that commercial tax base to be able to make your cities grow.
Right.
So and that way it doesn't depend on all residential. You've
Yeah.
got that commercial to be able to offset that.
What would you like to see come to our city?
Well, what I've heard the most about is a grocery store.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So I've been
That's been an ongoing thing.
I have made a contact out the food line, hoping to hear from them. So I also put a contact out to Piggly Wiggly to see if I can hear from them. So I'm trying to help out and see what I can do to be able to get things moving on that part. Because you look at how the area is growing, just not in our city, but beyond our city,
Right.
and a store is really warranted in that area.
Well, they take the whole area, do they not, into consideration? And they have to have a certain number of people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but they're, like you said, they're doing that development.
They're
out
doing that
on
development.
87 on the way to 17.
Yes, a huge development. So that adds
Huge.
into the equation.
Right.
So it
Yeah,
just,
because if you go out, there isn't anything place close out on 17.
you're either
either.
going to Southport or Leland.
Yeah.
So if we can get
Wow.
something close by where we can go shopping,
Mm-hmm.
that's been my biggest, what I've heard the most. So
Yeah. Well, and we're fortunate to have what we have. I mean, Dollar General has been a godsend.
it's a great stopping place.
It
It's
really
absolutely
is.
a great stopping place. And so is Cops. I love Cops.
Oh, yeah.
So, but we need something instead of driving all the way to Southport or Leland or somewhere like that to be able to go buy your groceries.
Yeah, and we
So-
need a nice restaurant
Yeah.
that you can go in and sit down.
I actually believe, and I try to look out ahead of things, that once we get these lakes back, it's going to be a place that people want to come to.
Oh, yeah.
So we might as well have a place we can give them to come to.
Yep.
So
Well, I don't know about you, but I've always wanted to be there. I'm still there
I love it out there. I mean, I absolutely love it.
after all these years.
I mean, you can have really, when we get the lakes back and the roads open back up, you have everything. You have the beaches close to you, and you have other little cities that's close by, and then you have the lakes.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, place for families to go out and enjoy.
I wanted to ask you, when you made the statement that the state owns a lot of our land, is that the case in all the municipalities?
What I've learned that in rural areas, state do own a lot of land, and
Okay.
and I consider our area a rural area. So we just need to find out, the progress of that land. Is that something we can work with the state with to maybe try to do workforce housing or something like that?
Right.
So I mean, it creates some kind of idea there that you may be able to work together with them to be able to create something that everybody needs.
It's definitely a question.
So,
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff on our plate right now because we keep bringing up different things, and we're trying to get it all worked together. The biggest one were the lakes and the dams and the roads. So now that we've got this real good hold on that, now it's looking at other things, how we can make everything work.
I bet you're tired at night.
No, I've always been a multitasker.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've been doing that most of my life. So I enjoy staying busy. I enjoy, you know, I tell everybody, even when I go meet with other mayors and other people around the country, that, you know, unless you ask for it, you're never going to get it.
Right.
And if they tell you no, that's just one door. There's plenty more doors to go
Yeah,
to.
you're right, Jeff.
I enjoy that. I mean, you know, if I can bring something to the city and the taxpayers don't have to pay for it, I mean, that's just something that I like to do.
Yep. And it shows.
So.
And on that note, we're going to pay some more bills, so please stay with us, folks. What a great place we all call home. From colorful sunsets to panoramic coastal views. The best attractions are its people, a community of friends and family. J.K. Summers, attorney at law, recognizes this fact and is proud of his work to protect their rights. Put your trust in him to prepare wills and trusts, real estate transactions, contract and LLC creations, and criminal, traffic, and civil matters. Visit oakislandlaw.com or call 910-253-5572. J.K. Summers, attorney at law.
Veteran Awareness sponsored by You Are Not Alone. Today's veteran homeless rate is approximately 19,750, and the numbers are declining because of the various veteran programs. If you are a veteran you know is homeless, please call 877-4AID-VET. This is a confidential and toll-free call. From this veteran to other veterans, please be there to help our brother and sister veterans. Again, the number is 1-877-424-3838. And thank you for your service.
Welcome back, everybody, to All Things Brunswick. We're going to finish out our evening here with the mayor of Boiling Spring Lakes, Jeff Winecoff. We have covered a lot of material, and I think in talking about all of this stuff, which obviously costs money, and all of the issues that we have that cost money, it is going to be very important that this election goes the right way this year. What do you think, Jeff?
Well, Mary, I mean, we've got to have some change. I mean, you've got families out there struggling. You go to the grocery store, and you see these enormous bills that you have to pay. And then you look at construction. I mean, our dam started off $30 million and went up to $52 million. And that's money you got to come up with. And in any kind of services that we do is costing more.
Yes.
And we're trying to absorb all that. We didn't want to raise any taxes this year because we knew the families were struggling. So we've got to be able to get some normalcy back in our lives. And some of this inflation, these high prices have got to start coming back down. And there's got to be something changed to be able to get that done.
Right.
Cities have to operate, and I'm the type of person, I hate raising taxes on anybody. And I understand struggles. I came from a single mom who raised me, who worked from 9 in the morning to 9 at night. And I know what she struggled with, and I know what these families struggle with.
Right.
And we've got to have some normalcy back. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter.
Yep. Yep. So, folks, it's very important that you get out and vote. And, please look at all of the options. Make sure that you think about the last 4 years and how you want to go forward. It's going to, whatever happens in this election is going to affect all of us.
It is. And, I've always been a strong believer. You vote for people who are going to work for you and do what's right. And no matter who it is, if they're willing to work for you and do what's right, then that's what you got to do. Because there's a lot of single families, a lot of retired people that really can't afford things.
No.
And I've told everybody since I've turned 65 now and went on Medicare, it's awful.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand why the elderly retired people are struggling.
When everybody says retired, the first thought that comes to my mind is fixed income.
Yes. And what I've seen from Medicare, it costs you more to live.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've learned that. And I'm like, whew, I don't know if I want to be retired.
I know. But then again, you have families. You have people who have children that they must take care of, and it has been very difficult for them as well.
It has. I mean, it really has. Like I said, everything goes up. Child care goes up. All the prices go up because of the inflation. And they're struggling because their salaries don't go up to be able to match anything.
Right.
So it puts them behind, struggling, trying to figure out what they want to buy or what they need.
Yep.
So it needs to be a little bit, you speak of common sense, and it has to be a lot more common sense out there to be able to get these families where they can actually enjoy life.
Exactly. I totally agree. I have enjoyed having you here today.
Well, thank you
I-
for having me. I enjoyed being here. I enjoyed letting everybody know what's going on in Boiling Spinrg Lakes. It's actually a place that's coming back to life. I've always said we need to make our city whole again, and that's what we've been working on.
Well, Jeff, I have to tell you, and I believe that people would agree with me, you've done a great deal for our city, and we are so appreciative. I really feel without you, we would not be where we are.
Well, thank you.
So,
Thank you very much. I like to work. Like I said, I'm not afraid to ask. And if it makes our city whole, if it makes our families better off, then that's what we need to do.
And I think it's wonderful that you moved to the city.
I'm glad we bought land in the city so
Yeah.
we could move. So,
I know, that is wonderful. I always knew you as Jeff from Oak Island.
well, I did the same thing there.
Yeah.
I mean, I went after money and I never voted to raise a tax there. I tried to pay off debt every year. I would find something we could pay off to get our general fund debt
Right.
paid off. And by the time I left Oak Island, the general fund debt was paid off.
Isn't that great?
So, yeah.
Well, you are certainly a good choice, and we don't want you going anywhere.
I don't plan on it.
Okay. And thank you so much for being with us.
Thank y'all. I appreciate it.
And folks, please join us again for All Things Brunswick. We love having you. We're going to bring to you everything that pertains to Brunswick County. I'm Mary Stillwell, and I thank you for joining us. Good night.